Hello there, World of Tankers. I'm Jordan's Blitz, and in today's video, we're going to be playing on the map Yukon. As you can see, I've got my Vickers Light, and we're going to be getting straight into the training room here. I have some gameplay, of course, for you guys, so you guys can see how this map is played, but I actually didn't get to play on the map really at all. I played it twice today, once in my 111.5a and once in the Kampfpanzer, and both the games were okay. They were about 2,000 damage, but really, I didn't understand where to push on myself until I did watch some other replays. I looked around the map, so today's video, I'm going to be showing you a lot of the positions I've noticed in this map, which way heavy route is, which way medium route is, and overall just good spots to go to. You guys actually voted this morning. You wanted to see this in a poll. So, of course, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below if you do like this type of content. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. Now, this bush here, I would not recommend for any tank to push into because, as you can see, you really don't have any spotting. Like, this spot here, yeah, you got nothing. So, the first bush I noticed when I was just running around in the Vickers Light is this one right here. This is a great spot. You're easily going to be able to, push some of the faster tank destroyers, your light tanks, of course, like this Vickers Light here. You can position here. You can see the enemy side is parallel. You've got that bush right there. So you can easily not only spot people crossing, you've also got this spot. You got them crossing down in the water. This is a great position to spot the enemy tanks. As well, we have the opposite bush over here. Now, this spot as well is great. If you are on this side of the map, you can easily rush your light tanks over here. You've got this little ledge that does cover your vehicle, and it's great to be able to spot tanks that are pushing up here. Now, I will say this can be a bit dangerous because, of course, you're going to be detected over here. And as well, you do have this rock protecting you, but the enemy tanks can sort of slip their way down through the water. So there are a couple shady spots in this position. So you can get some nice shots over here as well. Now, this is actually, in my opinion, the more lively part of the map. This is a massive map on pushing your tanks. This is sort of like vineyards, but you've got a bunch of passageways. So then we have all the way over here. This is where I would say heavy tanks and some of the medium tanks would push, sort of like a Faust position over here. You can see that you've got gun depression. I would say this is where most medium tanks are going to be rushing their vehicles. Right over to here, using their gun depression. This is sort of like Faust and Hellas on the medium side. So if you've got, let's say, a T-62A or maybe a WZ-121, you can use your gun depression, maybe your light tanks, get into here and spot the enemy tanks. So these are some of the positions I've noticed right out of the bat, and you can, of course, position your tanks. I'm not sure if this is going to hurt too bad, but you can position your tanks all over on the map here. Again, this bush is parallel to this one on the other side, so most of the positions here in this game are very, very parallel, which of course makes sense. You want to have parallel positions, but right off the bat, you can see that those are some pretty simple maps, and this is definitely medium side in my opinion. Now, again, I wouldn't suggest this bush because it really does not do you faith in spotting people. Like, really, what are you going to spot in this bush here? So don't go to this bush ever. Really not going to help you, even to tank destroyers. So if you wanted to cut through here, this is a decent spot. I would say most heavies might be pushing through here. You can sort of side scrape the buildings here. This might be some lively action. You can see that that bush right there is going to be able to spot you if you do go here. Same for that bush over there. So there is some spotting you could get. You could sit your tank destroyers here, maybe wait for some unlucky opponents. Not sure why there are trees inside of this house. Let me know in the comments down below if you know why there are trees inside that house, and this one too. But this is a spot I actually really noticed. If you're in a fast tank and you want to take the risk of getting into here, this is going to be a great spot because unless the enemy team really just wants to bum rush right through here, not only do you have cover of getting away, you might have your tank destroyers, your teammates here, you can spot people pretty much all sides of the map. Anybody that's pushing up there, you can get shots into. You can spot people, you can shoot them as they're trying to push through the waterfall. So this is a great spot, in my opinion, to get a bunch of damage out. So again, another great spot. But you can see that this map has so many different passages. So now moving on to what I call the heavily armored side of the map. Now this isn't going to be pushed on as much. This is sort of like the Port Bay town side where, yeah, you can push here, but I'm not going to see it being pushed on as much because there's so many spots. So this is where I feel heavy tanks are going to position more of. You can see here you've got a lot of buildings to side scrape on. You can side scrape here, use your hull armor, hide the weak lower plates like a WZ-113, hide your lower plate. Use your turn armor. Now these wooden blocks here are not destroyable by shooting, so I wouldn't suggest to try and shoot them. As well, you can push all the way over here. This is sort of like a canyon spot. You can see that, all the way in the corner of Canyon where you can push some of your medium tanks, heavies. This is sort of where this position is. Now, this is very far off, but you can get some very nice spots. Again, you can hide your weak lower plate with a heavy tank and very easily get some shots off. Medium tanks, lights can easily push over here. So another spot, but as you can see, there's not nearly as many bushes on this side of the map. Yeah, there is a bush here, but honestly, you're not really going to get that much spawning out. So the only two bushes I would say that are great for being a tank destroyer if your team does go through heavy route is that bush right there that you can see me aiming at, and as well the bush right over here. These are both parallel, of course, again. So these are two great bushes because, of course, when you're in that position, you're very easily able to aim across here, get some nice snapshots in. So overall, you can see, oof, don't want to hit my mouse there, but there are a lot of spots in Yukon, and that's the nice thing about this map. I think that it's a little too big as of right now because it's really going to take some getting used to figure out where to go, and I hope Wargaming does post a tutorial video. But I hope that this little bit here did show you guys all of the spotting positions, the tank destroyer spots, and everything else like that. I'm going to load up a replay, and then I'll actually show you a bird's eye overview of the map and show you where I think the best spots overall of your team pushing would be. So let's get straight into that replay. So I want to thank everybody who did send in replays to me. I had about 10, 15 replays sent in. I looked over pretty much all of them. I wanted to get the main gist of where everybody pushed on this map. And I will say right off the bat, pretty much everybody goes to the left. They all go to the medium side, which I agree with. It's better for tanks that are quick. It's better for tanks that have gun depression, and tank destroyers can stay at the back of the map. So I definitely feel that the medium way is definitely a better position for the faster tanks. However, if you're running a mouse, let's say maybe an E100, I do think it might be better to push through heavy route, where sort of you can see Disciple of Sped here. By the way, thank you for sending in the replay. But where Disciple of Sped is pushing his Chieftain Mark 6, this side over here I feel would be better for the way heavily armored tanks. But I want to pause the replay really quickly. So as you can notice, the enemy team pretty much pushed, they did push every single tank they had over to the medium route, which isn't a bad strategy, but the issue is that when you do that, you really don't have anybody protecting your flank. So what you can see here is Disciple of Sped is pretty much smack dab right in the middle of the map, a little bit towards heavy side, which is smart because he isn't a heavy, but if you push right through the heavy side, which is one rock over from this ridge, right here, as you can see, this is the opening from medium. That is the best spot because not only can you use those bushes that you can see me pointing at right there, but as well, if you see where the enemy team is, you can easily flank. So you can see Disciple here easily gets a shell right into that grill troublemaker. So you can easily flank and transition if you are in the middle of the map. You can push your light tanks there. You can push your medium tanks, even your heavy tanks. But I would most likely suggest to push your light tanks either to that house that I showed you right in the middle of the map with those bushes. That's all the way back there. That way you're able to get out the damage and spot for your team. Or I would push your heavy tanks sort of in that route. Not tank destroyers. Tank destroyers just stay at the back of your team's route. That way you know, hey, if they get spotted, well, you can just change position. You're a tank destroyer. You're supposed to stay passive, unless, of course, you're in a Foch. But overall, it's actually very, very important if you do run your heavy tanks in the middle of the map because that's a really easy way to just find out where everybody is pushing. So you can see the enemy heavies did push their tanks all through the side. And while it did work for them in the long run, trying to get through to our, or should I say Disciples here team, you can see that once you are flanked, it's very, very easy to lose the battle. So I think flanking is going to be something that really a lot of people are going to have to work on. So pushing through middle is one thing I would really suggest. And as well, pushing through medium side, which is over here, is also very important. I would not really suggest as much to push through, I think it's A capture, but that's the heavy side. Because, yeah, heavy side works, but honestly, you can be a lot more effective, use your gun depression over on medium side, and you can as well get away a lot easier because there's so many more hills and curves. So let me know in the comments down below, of course, what you guys think is better, if you think pushing heavy routes better with the experience you've played on this map, but I definitely feel this side gives you a lot more experience on the tanks you are playing, and a lot more flexibility on the hills and the gun depression, especially even if you don't have gun depression, you can still run your tanks somewhere all around. Yes, I will agree with Disciple's comment there. This map is huge. While all maps are the same size, I think Wargaming made the map a little bit too big. Because, as I said, pushing through mid is definitely better. If you're in a mouse, some of the bigger tanks, I would definitely suggest to go through the medium spot. But the issue is that if you are in a very, very slow tank, you really got to figure out where you're going because there's so many corridors and alleyways and ridges to go through. It's very, very tough. So I'm going to pull up a bird's eye overview and show you my personal opinion on the map overview. But I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. So we are actually in Adobe Illustrator. Sadly, Strat Sketch does not actually have Yukon up yet because, of course, it is such a new map. Strat Sketch takes a couple weeks to get these maps, the pictures, highly rendered and stuff like that. So I'm going to be using this sort of meh-looking bird's eye view overview of the map, and I'm going to be showing you guys where, of course, the medium should push and everything else like that, finishing off the video. So if you were on this spawn of the map over here, ignore my wonderful drawing skills, but let's say these are the two spawns on the map, which I'm pretty sure they are. So this is the medium side. So you can either push through here on medium. There's a lot of spots, of course, on medium. So this sort of breaks apart the halfway barrier on the map, sort of like this, I'd say. So there is the halfway barrier, and this, of course, over here is all medium side. So there are many spots. As I said, there's this bush you can get some nice shots on. There are a lot of spots all over the medium side. And as you can see, the map is a little bit different looking here than it is, of course, in the real game. But you can still see, like, this is where that house was with the two bushes. There are the spots still here. So on medium side, I would suggest personally that if you're in a light tank that you come across into this side, or at least this area, maybe cut through here, because what that means is you're able to use this building that's right here, use the bushes that are next to it, and spot the people that are all across the side. Not only that, you can get shots right through the waterfall, you can spot those tanks, you can spot people through the bushes. It's really, really easy to get some nice spots through on that side as well. If you're in a light tank or a medium tank, you want to get some spotting before you do push finally up into this position here. I'd suggest that you do go to these bushes right here. You get some spotting across. Of course, you can get spotting like that. So you get some spotting while you're in that bush. Then once you know, hey, if I haven't spotted anybody, well, then instead of continuing all the way through around, instead you can easily just go down the ridge and cut right through here. You can see it's much easier to cut right through all the little alleyways and ridges on the map. So that is the medium side, I would say. I wouldn't ever suggest to push past the halfway point. That's one thing I always say. Never push past halfway until you do know where the enemy team is. So if you're in a heavy tanks, I'd suggest, you know what, push maybe to like this spot here, or you can push your heavy into this bush here. You can wait around the ridges here. There's bushes here. There's a lot of spots you can stay careful in as heavy tanks. Very, very easy spots to stay very careful if your team does want to push through the medium side. Now, if your team ends up pushing through the heavy route, again, you can push all the way through here. You can go all the way in the corner if you want. I wouldn't suggest that. That's really a weak strategy in my opinion. This is sort of where the base capture is, where all those logs were, as we saw. So I would suggest if you're pushing through heavy route, I would say still push maybe through something like that. That is sort of an easy spot to still sort of side scrape on the buildings, get your gun depression out, hide your lower plates as we saw. Then if you notice, hey, they're all pushing up here, then you can sort of maybe use, I know there's a building you can use as protection, so maybe use that building. It's definitely easier on the heavy side to know where to work, and heavy tanks are very flexible. Medium tanks and light tanks, yeah, they're a little bit tougher to know really where to push and when to push. So I hope this sort of did show you guys where to push your tanks. It's really hard because, as you can see, the map quality isn't the best. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. As always, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. It really does help out the channel, especially if you did learn something new, some positions, some spots like that. You guys did, of course, vote to see this video, so if you want to see more, please make sure to click that bell notification icon down below and click that subscribe button. But other than that, stay happy out there, guys. Stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.